Hey, hey, wake up. Stay with me, alright? Whoa there. Take it easy. They got you pretty good back there. I've given you superficial first aid, but there's only so much I can do with what I have on hand. As soon as you're able, we should head back to my camp. It's not too far from here. Yeah, you were attacked, remember? What were you thinking, wandering straight into a Iberian patrol like that? Where are we? We're in the Great Wood of Almond, close to the border to Iberia. You must have crossed over by mistake. The border markings can be hard to see, especially this time at night. What's Iberia? Iberia is the country that borders Travius. Judging by your foreign attire, I assume you are a traveler from the far west, or perhaps even Nova Mundus. Either way, you should know that Iberia has a strict closed border policy. You'd be wise not to wander so close to their borders next time. You've never heard of those places either. By the Empress, you must have hit your head harder than I thought. Earth? No, that's not a place I've ever heard of. You're speaking nonsense. What's the last thing you remember? So, you were walking down a road and remember seeing some creature called a truck charging at you? Not a creature, a machine. A vehicle. And this vehicle machine struck you with great force? Then you remember waking up in the woods and immediately accosted by the Iberian patrol. Have you gone mad? Here, hold still. Let me check you out. Whoa there. Calm down. No need to panic. It's just a bit of harmless magic. I'm going to use this flame to check your eyes. Make sure your pupils are reacting naturally. Yes, magic. What? Don't tell me you've never seen magic before. Where you're from, magic doesn't exist. Are you from one of those far west isles that reject the use of magic? Oh, you mean that where you're from, magic is a fictional concept, and no one at all can use it? How strange. Do you mean to suggest that you came from a different world entirely? A different plane of existence, and somehow wound up here? No, I've never heard of such a thing happening. Even though magic exists in our world, outside of those who would make pacts with familiars from the demon realm or the spiritual plane, I've never heard of someone being summoned from a world without magic, let alone spontaneously. It's an entirely foreign concept to me. Isekai? What's that? So, even in your world that does not contain magic, you have fictional tales of individuals being plucked out of their world, either through death or other circumstances, and sent off to another realm with magic and monsters? That's quite the interesting concept. Well, yes, I do find it all hard to believe. In fact, part of me is still inclined to believe that you've just hit your head a little too hard. But your story does explain your unusual attire, as well as the strange objects I found on you. A phone? It's quite an incredible contraption. It's clearly crafted from metal and glass, but I doubt even the most skilled goldsmith could create an object this intricate and precise. Also, these buttons suggested some kind of device, but it doesn't appear to be working. Dead, you say? Oh dear, I didn't realize it was alive. Was it some kind of animated familiar? No, you just said you didn't have magic in your world. Either way, I'm sorry for your loss. Oh, you don't mean it's actually dead, just that it's run out of electricity to power the device. Intriguing. I have heard of electricity being used to power large machines, but to think it could be used in something so small and delicate. Oh, sorry, I got caught up with this phone device of yours. You can have it back, although I have no idea what use it might serve in its current state. What was I saying before? Oh, yes. Your story about coming from another world. It seems far-fetched at best, but in addition to your clothes and that phone thing, there was something else I noticed about you as well. When I went to examine you and tend to your wounds, I noticed that your body is completely devoid of mana. In other words, you lack magical energy. You see, all living things in this realm require mana to live. It is a source of life. But you're completely absent of it. It's not like you just ran out either. A mage cannot fully expend all of the mana in their body willingly. There always be trace amounts left. Mana even flows through inanimate objects, and ambiently through the air, though in much smaller amounts. Yet, your body is like a hole burned in a map. Logically, you know there should be something there, but it's a void. Well, I'm no healer or herbalist, but I've never seen or heard of anything like that happening before. I can only imagine that your story of coming from another world, especially one devoid of magic, is the explanation. So, despite how crazy it all sounds, I'm inclined to believe you. Shh. Do you hear that? It sounds like another Iberian patrol. I was only able to carry you a short distance due to your injuries, so we're still near enough to the border that they might attack us, especially if they found the first patrol I took out. Can you walk? Good. Come, I'll lead you back to my camp. It'll be safer to talk there, and I can more properly tend to your wounds. Phew, we made it. Here, sit down. I can tell you're tired. What am I doing? I'm removing my armor. Don't be alarmed. I set up protective wards around this campsite. We'll be safe here. That's not it? Oh, you mean my ears? Yes. I'm in Nakura. I'm surprised you didn't notice my tail earlier. What's a Nakura? Do they not have Nakura in your realm either? Only humans. How strange. Well, as you can see, a Nakura is a humanoid with feline features, such as my ears and my tail. There are other races similar to the Nakura that also possess animal features, like the Usagara, the Inakura, and the Kitsune, to name a few. If you're not used to seeing other races outside of humans, then I'd prepare yourself if we ever visit a town or city. Here in the Travanian Empire, the population is quite diverse. Ah, right. You aren't aware of the Empire, or any of the other locations in this world. We'll have to go over the specific geography later, but the basics are that Travius sits to the east of the realm. We're currently along the northern border with Iberia, which is why we ran into those patrols. There's also Xavia, the kingdom to the south, and to the west there's the Republic of Nur. And even further west are a collection of remote isles that are collectively known as, well, the Far West. Beyond the southwest seas is a largely unexplored landmass dubbed Nova Mundus, though we don't really know what's there. There's also a large city called Ventus that lies at the heart of the realm, where the world powers gather to discuss politics and settle disputes. I think that's all the basics you need to know. Sorry, is that all a bit much? I know it's a lot to take in. We can discuss the specifics later. Are you okay? You look like you're in pain. Here, now that we're in camp, let me take a closer look at you. I'm not a proper healer, but as a knight and a traveler, I know the basics. Oh dear, your side is bleeding. You must have gotten nicked by a blade. I'm sorry I didn't notice until now. I've been talking your ears off with my geography lesson while you've been bleeding out. You've got quite a few scuffs and scratches on your arms and face as well. Here, let me tend to you. I'm sorry, but I want to take a look at your side wound first. It seems to be the most severe. I'll need you to remove your shirt, if that's alright. I can turn around while you remove it, but you'll need someone to tend to that wound sooner rather than later. And we're quite far away from any towns with proper healers. Okay, I'll turn around. Let me know when you're ready. You're good? Okay, now let's take a look. I'm going to grab a cloth with some tincture to wipe away the blood. This is gonna sting. I know. I'm sorry. Bear with it. There. I'm done. Luckily, the bleeding looked worse than the wound itself. It's shallow. I doubt it will need magic to fix, which is good, because I'm not very good with healing magic. Yes, I did say I was a knight. A black knight, to be specific. I have magic abilities, but they mostly revolve around combat. I know some rudimentary healing spells, but they've never been my strong suit. That's okay, though. Your injuries are nothing a little healing potion and bandages won't fix. I have one right here. Drink this. There you go. Now, let me dress up your wound. I'm sorry. This must be quite awkward, getting bandaged up by a total stranger. Not to mention that you're from a different world. This must all be a lot for you. Don't worry, though. Since I found you, I feel responsible to be your guide through this new world. Well, I'm sure others might have just agreed to escort you to the nearest town and tell you to figure things out. But you don't know anything about Trevanian culture, or how to find work, and I doubt you have any viable currency on you anyway. You'd be a vagabond before too long. I'm not going to let that happen to you. You can trust me. There. That's the main wound done. Feel free to put your shirt back on. Then I can move on to the scrapes on your arms and face. Alright, let's bandage you up here. Why am I being so nice to you? Well, a knight's job is to protect and serve the people of their empire. And while technically you aren't a Trevanian citizen, you are a person. I see very little reason to distinguish the two, especially in this circumstance. Raise your right arm a bit for me? I need to wrap these bandages around it. Thank you. Let me know if I'm being too rough, or if the bandages are too tight. Great. There we go. Now for your left. Alright, done. Now for your face. You don't mind me touching your face, do you? Yes, I suppose it is a little late to ask after I made you take off your shirt to tend to the cut on your side. But I needed to tend to that wound. The cuts on your face I could leave, or let you tend to them yourself, if you're uncomfortable. Alright, in that case, I'll begin. The scar on my cheek. Well, I am a knight. It's only natural that battle would leave its mark on me eventually. Yes, there is a story behind it. I can share it with you, if you wish. I suppose it's a good way to be less of a stranger. Very well. I actually got it very early on in my career as a knight. I was overconfident back then, especially since I had just been granted a position in the Imperial Guard. I was escorting the Crown Princess through dangerous territory known for bandit attacks, and, of course, the caravan was ambushed. I was tasked with staying near the princess and defending her, but I got a bit overeager and dove into the fight. While I was distracted, two of the bandits snuck up on the princess and took her hostage. I was told to stand down, but since it was my mistake, I felt the need to do more than just stand around. I dove in and got the princess free, but I took a blow meant for her in the process. Naturally, once the princess was safe, the remaining bandits were dispatched easily by the other guards, and, having learned my lesson, I stayed near the princess and defended her properly after that. Ever since that day, this scar served to remind me to never get overconfident and overzealous, and to remember my duty is to protect above all else. Well, yes, I did get quite the stern talking to after that stunt. But, in the end, I did save the princess's life and carry out my duty, so I was also rewarded. Though, those days are long behind me. No, I'm no longer a member of the Imperial Guard. But that's a story I'd much rather save for another time. On the bright side, your face will not scar just from these scrapes, and they're already starting to heal thanks to that potion. Yes, I'm finished. And just in time, too. You look exhausted. I don't blame you after what you've been through today. Here, feel free to lay down and take a nap. I'll go ahead and check some of the hunting traps I set up earlier. With any luck, we'll have caught a wild hare to roast over the fire tonight. Very well. I'll let you get some sleep, and call you awake when dinner's ready. We can talk about where to go from there, and I can tell you more about this realm. Rest well. It'll help your wounds heal faster.